To make a 12-inch Celtic twist quilt block, you'll need a green background fabric and 4 different prints. We chose 4 florals for a spring-like vibe. To achieve the twist effect, pay careful attention to the placement of these fabrics. To stay organized, lay out the inner rectangles, and then place your small squares. Place the outer squares and rectangle, referring to the diagrams as you go. Start with the corner sections, sewing 2 squares together with a 1/4-inch seam. Press toward the green background fabric. Sew the corner squares unit to the background rectangle to create the first corner section. Press toward the print rectangle, and then sew the remaining corner units. Instead of chain piecing, go 1 section at a time to keep yourself organized. Now it's time to stitch and flip the outer ring, 1 unit at a time. Mark corner to corner on the wrong side of the print squares. Carefully place the units as shown, and then sew along the marked line. Repeat for the other corner. Trim a 1/4 inch away from the stitched line on both corners. Press to set, and then press toward the floral print. Once you've completed the first stitch and flip unit, work around the outer ring, 1 unit at a time, to stay organized. Now join the center background square to the first print rectangle with a partial seam. To do this, put the fabric's right sides together. Then, with green fabric on top, sew a 1/4 inch seam, starting at the edge and stopping about 1 inch from the other edge, backstitching to secure. Press the seam toward the print fabric, allowing the print rectangle to dangle loosely. Working clockwise, join the remaining rectangles to the center unit. Sewing the entire length of the seam with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and pressing toward the print fabric. Once you've pressed the 4th side, it's time to close the partial seam. Align the edge of the first floral print rectangle with the background fabric. Place the unit under the raised needle with a loose unit on top. Using the flywheel, bring the needle down at the point where the last seam ended. Make sure everything is aligned and then sew to close the seam. Press the seam. Next, join the units into rows. Press all the rows toward the stitch and flipped units. Continue until all the rows are complete. To join the rows, nest the seams and pin. Sew using a 1/4 inch seam, removing pins as you go. Press away from the center row. And nest and pin the last row. Sewing with a 1/4 inch seam and removing pins as you go. Press away from the center row. And there you have it, the Celtic twist quilt block. Create an entire quilt with the entwined design.